Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and today we are going to be looking at Shock Assault, which, alright, full disclosure, I had tried to do this run yesterday, and I ended up making a big mistake and getting screwed over. So I was going to try re-recording, but by that time I had to start getting ready for work and getting out the door. So I figured, okay, I'll just try again today. So let's quick go over Shock Assault. It is a essentially movement-based arcana that has you dashing into enemies and then just beating the crap out of them with lightning fists. Which against one enemy does fair damage, against a group of enemies does just about nothing. Like I can get that amount of damage just by sneezing on them. But the obvious bonus is that while you're blinking around like that, you are completely invulnerable. Now, part of the problem with that, though, is that it does leave you in this position where when you come back from the dash, you are in a vulnerable state, and you can get knocked around because of that. So for that reason, I was running this with Cardus Prime, which, because it also counts as melee, triggers this bad boy. So I figure we're going to try the same thing a second time, but I want to change the dash. Because Razor Burst kind of wasn't going super well with this. So I figure the best thing to do is go with something that either has more application at close range, which of course would be Volt Tracer, for the most part, or go with something that's way more disruptive to the flow of the enemies in their combat cycles, which would be either Flare Rush or Wavefront. I think this time around I'm going to try Wavefront. So there we go. That's going to be our build. Let's quick roll soundtrack choice. That would be classics. Alright. So while we're farming up the retro floor plan, I want to quick talk about Nova Drift, because after being in early access for 5 years, I was super hyped for that game. And it is a very good game. It controls a good deal differently than I thought it would. Like, I was kind of hoping for more twin-stick shooter controls where, you know, the left stick just moves you around and right stick is aim and fire. That having been said, I think it's one of those games where the awkward control scheme is part of the appeal. And I look forward to playing that some more, but I also don't want to shirk my responsibilities of the Signature Arcana Spotlight series. So we are going to I'm going to alternate as much as I can on these days where I start, mid-afternoon and I only really have enough time to do one recording in the early afternoon before it's time for work. But yeah, I'm very interested in Nova Drift, although I thought I was getting something, I don't know why I thought this, but I thought I was going to be getting something a little bit more narrative focused on that, or something along those lines. I don't know why I thought that, but... But the idea that it plays kind of like a survival roguelite. There we go. But the idea that it plays like a survival roguelite, I guess, isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, I know I'm just kind of coming off as pedantic, like, oh, I wanted a real action RPG, but the game is fine. I see why people like it so much. Like, to me, it kind of plays like 20 minutes until dawn, just with a... I'm going to just go ahead and say probably a higher skill ceiling. So, despite the fact that it sounds like I'm complaining, I actually do really like the game. Alright, and... Boy, they really want me to go on a journey to reach Nox. Any longer of a roundabout journey to reach this man, and I would be delivering the one ring to the to the fires of Mordor. Well, I'm not the biggest fan of early game adorable Mimic, but at the same time, it's probably about the best option I have. Well, we definitely want that. And I do like the idea of the greased boots because our dash only gets one charge, so getting it back significantly faster would be a huge help. But let's wait and see what Iris is selling. Oh, that wasn't good. Okay, I've had enough of these summoners. Okay. Oh, that was Aqua Breaker. Shit, I didn't really want... Well, you know what, though? Having a ranged option to kind of keep enemies at bay isn't necessarily a bad thing. There was a nice little monster combo there. Alright, so I want to hang on to this, I want to hang on to this. Now, the reason why I'm okay with doing that is because we don't need huge amounts of damage up to make critical hit builds more potent. Now, hopefully you're kind of understanding what I meant when I said that Shock Assault has the unintended downside of making you vulnerable afterwards. And the big reason why we started at the twins is because much of Shock Assault's effect comes from the idea that it applies the shock status effect. Oh, Shock Assault, shock status effect. Ooh, big fucking surprise there. But that's why we started with the twins, because this would be the stage where Shock Assault would be the least effective. So by knocking this stage out early, we can then move on to other stages where we can have where our spell can have a greater effect. There's the not-so-adorable Mimic. It's okay, my friend, you're just an ugly duckling. Give it time and you'll blossom. Now, I will say that in essence, what Shock Assault does is very similar to spells like Heroic Blaze and Heroic Maelstrom. It gives you invulnerability while you're in the middle of things, but it puts you right back where you started, which means you're very vulnerable to essentially being punished by, iffy positioning. So, I mean, take that with a grain of salt, but it's enough of a downside that it's worth being concerned about. Alright, that'll help keep us alive, and that's always a good thing. I was, of course, hoping for critical placebos, but, I'm not going to complain about getting that. Alright, now let's come back and see if there's anything here I really want. I'll take that. Alright, on to the twins, who are going to resist just about everything I have. Alright, let them do this. I have a primarily melee-focused build, so I want to just dodge that instead of trying to attack them through it. And we're good. And good. I like Wavefront better. Oh, that was quick. If I were trying to run a speed run, I'd be like, done, let's get out of here. Alright, so obviously I had a huge whiff there. But it's not all bad, because of this Arcana's innate movement, you can actually use that in a pinch to get out of the way of something. So yes, it is kind of a... like, being able to dodge things with the movement function of Shock Assault is not ideal, but it's better than not having it at all, because it will, at the very least, it can happen by accident. Alright. So, now that enemies are being reliably shocked, I'm assuming you can now see what the strength of this is, and that is that Shock Assault almost functions as a more effective crowd control than it does straight up damage. Which means that Shock Assault sits somewhere in that really awkward space of damage or crowd control. And the answer almost depends entirely on the number of enemies you're fighting. Yeah, there's like nothing here that's good. I'll grab that, I guess. Care about that. I'm past the twins. Yeah, I'll grab the strongman's hammer. Oh, that was awful. One of those times where I should have been aiming with the left stick instead of the control pad. Fortunately, this aggressive build is really good at building signature charge. Oh, perfect. Shattering Strike. I mean, it's not great, but it is a nice close-range crowd control option. All these freebies and nothing to do with them. Oh, hold on. I now have something to do with them. Yeah, I don't really want that. Don't really want that. I'm gonna hold on to that just in case I find the other gauntlet, but even then there's a good chance I'll want something else. That was smooth. Best direction I could have possibly gone. What about the direction that makes progress, guys? Sometimes you just have to stop and smell the roses, I'm telling you. Oh, okay, I think I see. Oh, hello. And we're... You know what? Yes, I want the Conqueror's Belt, because I do not want to have to deal with this stupid Ice Archers and their bullshit attacks. No, they can be limited to one attack. Ooh, that was beautiful. Now, the reason why I haven't said much about Shock Assault's signature cast is because it's just the regular cast with some more hits. So there isn't really a lot of advanced strategy that I can even share about that one, real honesty. There we go. Looking good. Ooh, you guys just gave me the keys to the kingdom. Kind of. You know what? No, you did. You definitely gave me the keys to the kingdom, and I am A-okay with that. The only thing I'm thinking is the Nerite Shell. Well, Blades of Mercy would be good because we end up trading a lot with this build. Now, even though you do end up taking some hits when you rematerialize from the Shock Assault, the obvious bonus to... Okay. Getting punished. The obvious bonus that you get to effective hyper-aggression is definitely a bonus. It's one that I can't understate, because sometimes just having a nice aggressive build is exactly what you need. Oh, here we go. Yeah, that bonus to critical hit chance is exactly what we needed. Okay, definitely need a healing potion now. We very intentionally put ourselves in a bad position by picking up the... Well, I'm not gonna say intentionally, but we made the conscious choice to put ourselves in a bad position in order to get the critical hit bonus. So, now it becomes even more imperative to have the healing potion. Get anything I want? Not really. And speaking of the heroic jump spells... Perfect. Now, one thing you might find yourself thinking is, you said you didn't like the heroic jump spells, and you said that this spell is very similar to those in a lot of key aspects, but you obviously like this spell a lot better, so what gives? And I think it's the idea that you can start it at range from your enemies. These ones, you have to be like right next to your enemies to use them, and it ends up putting you in really bad positions because of it. So it's really that you have better control of both where you start and where you end up using Shock Assault. But that having been said, just because I like it better than the heroic jump spells doesn't mean that I think it's all sunshine and rainbows. The idea that you end up putting yourself in a bad position in the long run is not something that I can overlook. So it's one of those things where you're either looking to use it with good timing to take advantage of the invulnerability frames, or you're just trying to get in there for that nice after image attack and essentially hoping that it works out. And of course, this is a game where, especially with the retro floor plan active, you don't want to be leaving anything up to chance. God, even when I deny them their extra spells, they're still assholes. Get rid of that, pick up that. Hey. Well, as you can clearly see, things are not quite working out the way that I wanted them to. But it is also due in part to the idea that the freeze effect is just that damning. Fortunately, we've got a huge combo game. I mean, that's not going to help for too much longer. So, screw it. And shock status effect for the win! Oh, he went into his attack pattern quickly. Wasn't expecting that. I should also point out that the auto-tracking of the Shock Assault is very nice. Assuming that you hit with it. And you know, I suppose that is another positive effect of the Shock Assault, is that it does have a lovely tracking effect. And that's something that I only just now got around to mentioning because my brain was focused on other things. Alright, Sura, yeah. Let's get on with this. Beautiful. Okay, I had that coming. God damn it. And there we go. Alright, cool. That was admittedly a little bit more stressful than I thought it was going to be at the end, but it's done. So, Shock Assault. Now, I've already likened it to the likes of Heroic Blaze and Heroic Maelstrom, so comparing it to those, I definitely like it better, but it's still got its weaknesses. And the idea that it kind of sets you back where you started can be both a blessing and a curse. In that it will put you right back where you started, but that can also mean that you can be putting yourself in harm's way. And you know how I feel about spells that that essentially leave you in harm's way when you go to use them. So, whereas it's better than the heroic jumps, it still has a lot of the same drawbacks, and for those reasons, I can't honestly rate it super high, but it is fun to use, and it does have its perks, so I don't know, it's a pretty solid B tier if you ask me, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below about Shock Assault. This is one of those spells that I don't have super strong feelings for or against, but hey, it's fun to use every now and again. So, guys, thank you very much for coming and spending some of your free time here with me today. I very much appreciate it. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and you take care, everybody.